So the first stage with basing any piece of terrain and covering any piece of terrain with foliage is flock. Now, as I said before, you can get this from numerous number of manufacturers. I'm just going to use the default stuff, the standard green, the Wargames green, so to speak. Okay, and that's because I just want to keep this project simple and show you how to apply this stuff, and then we can build up all the wonderful things you can do from that in future videos. Now, when it comes to applying this stuff, and all this stuff is dyed sawdust as I understand it. Okay, there's a couple of techniques. Now, depending on how thick you want the flock, yeah, you have to put the PVA on thin. And what I mean by that is, if I was to get, say, neat PVA and apply it with a wet brush, okay, and spread it round, then what would happen is when I sprinkle this flock on, yeah, what will happen is it will stick to the top of the PVA, and because the PVA glue's thick, it won't sort of go any further. It will just stick the top layer down, and that will result in a thin layer of flock on your model. Okay, but if I apply watered down PVA, a 50-50 mix, what will happen is when I pour this on, the bottom layer will soak through, and it will continue to soak upwards as this sort of sucks in the moisture. And what that means is you end up with a thicker layer of flock, a far more realistic one, because the glue travels up and binds more of the actual flock than if you were just pouring it on top of a layer of glue. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do, and that's what I'm going to show you, because I like that effect. Which one you use is down to you, to be perfectly honest. Now, all it is a matter of getting your 50-50 mix. Yeah, a little bit of flow aid in there, a bit of fairy liquid. Okay, and all you're going to do is, oh, this brush is solid. That's better. You can tell it's a PVA brush. Yeah, is all I'm going to do is I'm just going to literally apply it like this. Now you'll notice I've got my project on a stand. Yeah, and all that is ooh, a couple of bases lifted up onto some cardboard, and because we're using watered down PVA, I'm expecting drips off the edge here. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly give this a coat, and I'm going to use that same technique that we used with the gravel, where we soak an area and then we come back in, we pour the grit, the flock down, and then we carry on soaking another area and moving on, because I can't do all of this and then flock it in one go, to be perfectly honest. Now remember, when you're flocking, you tend to pour more out of the actual tub that you need. Okay, and that's because it piles up on the base. So with that in mind, okay, you need a reasonable amount to start off with, and it's another reason why I recommend going to the train people, the hobby shops for the people who make model railways. I might call it railways from now on, it's a lot easier than saying train, because I keep saying terrain. So, there we are, I've covered this roughly half the way around, and it's all nice and wet and running off the edges, as you can see. Okay, and then what I'm going to do very quickly is I'll get my tub of flock, and I'm just going to sprinkle it over quite liberally, because I want a reasonably thick coating. You might have to throw it at the edges on this, because you know what this is like, trying to get it on the edges. The very edges can be challenging at times. So all I'm doing is I'm literally just going around and I'm just applying a coating. And I'm going this far because what I want to do is make sure that I've still got this wet bit here, so I can spin it round. That's actually covered the ends quite well. I'll just throw some in. And all I'm doing here is just throwing a bit up to the edges to sort of catch it and blend it in. Now the downside of this is obviously it's messy. Obviously, you know, you can see it dripping off. You will get some wastage. It's not a problem. Okay, so I'm going to do the same here. Then I'll start on this side now. As you can see, I'm really throwing it on and getting it on because I want to get this done. That's like, see that groove there? That's where I messed up doing the actual base, and I'm going to cover that over so you can't even see it because I'm that good. Nothing like a bit of pride in yourself, is there, guys? Yeah, so quickly we run around here. I don't want this to go on too long for obvious reasons, because you haven't come here to watch me glue, but I'll do this bit quickly. Now when it comes to flocking, drying time is really important, guys. It really is. Okay, so what I highly recommend is, this is not a quick project. You've got to leave these to dry. You can accelerate the drying with hair dryers, etc., but the one problem is you risk blowing a lot of the flock away. So if you want to dry it with a hairdryer, that's fine, but what I suggest you do is wait until it sets to a certain amount, then finish off drying with a hairdryer. Don't start off straight away, or you'll just blow the flock everywhere. Yeah, so that's all nice and covered, and then what I'm going to do quickly is get the rest of my flock and start sprinkling. Now I haven't got much left in here, but that's not a major problem, because all I can do is where it's spilt off the edge, yeah, I can lift this model off, put it to one side, collect it all back in my tub and carry on applying. Yeah. So as you can see, I'm going round, and I know I'm going to run out now. I can tell. Yeah, I'm not going to have enough to finish off covering this. So I'll make sure these areas around here are well covered with the last bits. And then what I'm going to do very quickly, a little bit of a shake. Okay, I'm going to put that over there just really quickly. Please don't fall. Yeah, take my tubs off. Okay, you notice a bit of static, a few drops on there. Yeah, so I'll just quickly wipe that so it doesn't fall into my tub. Then all I'm going to do is very quickly bend my cardboard, get my tub, and I'm sorry I'm doing this right now, but I need to finish the tutorial. I'm just going to drop that all back in, and that's a bit messy, to be perfectly honest. I could have done a better job than that, as you can see there. And so I'll push that up, and I'll collect that in a little while. Yeah, like I say, I love getting messy with this stuff. So back to our tubs. So get a model, tubs down, crack on. Yeah, and it literally is a matter of just cracking on, sprinkling it around, getting it as best you can. Yeah, I can't actually see over the edge, so I'm hoping I'm getting everything I need to get. Yeah, and that's looking good. Okay, now with these bits that are coming over, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and throw them at the very edge. Now what you can do is you can obviously tilt your model. Okay, and then you can get them on that very edge. Okay, going round. Yeah, I definitely do need to get them on that edge because it's looking a bit shabby, to be perfectly honest. So guys, once again, what I'm going to do is I need a bit more flock because I've used all the flock I've got. Take these bases off. Shake off a bit of the excess that way. You'll notice as I do it, it's gone round, and then I'm just going to do that. Do you see what I'm doing there? All I'm doing is pressing into the actual flock on the base, and what that does is it just picks it up on the edge. Now it's a little bit scraggy, to be truthful. I should have covered those edges a little bit better, but I think they're going to be fine. Oh, a few around there. And it literally is as simple as that. Okay, and then the next thing I need to do is quickly, whoa, look at me juggling. Yeah, put my bases down, just quickly, and then I need to put that down and leave it to dry. So there you are. That's our original layer of flock, and as you can see, it's quite thick, but then again, there's a lot on top. Now what I need to do is leave this to dry completely. So I'm going to leave it for about 5-10 minutes, just to make sure most of it starts to get sticky. Then I'm going to empty off the excess, collect it all up and clean up my workspace, and then once it's completely dry, and it can take a while to dry, like I said, I've talked about accelerating it, but once it's completely dry, we'll come back and I'll show you how to seal it using watered down PVA. So I'll see you in a little while, guys. So now the piece is dried, you can actually see that the flock has given it a really good covering, but I should say that flock doesn't actually give 100% covering. There are patches, and you know, if I bring this up to the camera, I'm not sure if you can see, but a little bit of a hint of the base coat is coming through. Only in little patches, but it is coming through. And one of the things you should take away from this is, obviously, you know, make sure you do actually base coat. you know, your miniatures that you're going to, the pieces that you're going to flock. Never flock white polystyrene. Yeah, it'll look horrendous. Now, what colour you flock it is down to you. I went for brown for this because it's very earthy, and if it shows through, it looks quite natural. If you want a really green field, okay, and you know you don't want any signs of brown, just base coat it green at the end of the day, and then you'll just get little patches of natural green showing through. If you get big patches where it hasn't stuck, what you can do is give it a spray with this and just sprinkle on some more of this. It is very forgiving. You can build it up. The main thing is just don't mess with it while it's wet. So if it's still wet and it's patchy, let it completely dry before you put any more on, or it's going to go gloopy. Now the next stage I want to do with this is sealing it. Now some people will tell you that you don't need to seal it, and you know it's perfectly fine once it's glued. Yeah, personally I disagree with that. These things are designed to be handled. You know, we're going to be passing these, moving around the tables, putting models on them. You know, occasionally they get knocked, so I like to seal my terrain. So what I'm going to do is very quickly, I'm going to take this to the kitchen because I can't spray here because my computer's here, and you know, all sorts of things, you get the idea. I'm going to take this through to the kitchen. Yeah, I'll film it on my iPhone so you can see what I'm doing, and then we'll come back once it's sort of sprayed, etc. So, see you in a moment, guys. Right guys, we're here in my kitchen and we're about to spray it, but before we do, while I've got the iPhone, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in close, and so you can see where the base colour has sort of come out. Do you see that, guys? Now to me that isn't a problem, and if it was I would have base coated it green, or you know, like I say, put some spray on, put some more flock down. It's not an issue, okay? Now you'll notice along here as well, what I've got is I've got little brown bits showing from the original paint where it hasn't flocked. That's not a problem. I'm going to show you how to cover that later on. So here's my spray bottle, and I'm sorry about doing it this way because, you know, I've got a camera in one hand and a spray bottle in the other, but all I'm going to do is very quickly give it a quick spray. Yeah, do you see that? Spin it round, do this side. Yeah, and I'm holding the spray quite well back. I mean, I'm over a foot away, and that's because I want it to diffuse. If I go too close, I'll risk actually blowing the the flock away. So one more. Now you noticed it's got the building, okay? If I go in close now, you can see where it's all damp down here. And you can see on the building, yeah, where it's If you're overly concerned about that, what you can do is just get a small brush and just literally just run it over and it'll take that off. But when it's watered down this much, to be perfectly honest, I find that it dries matte anyway, so it's not a problem. Okay guys, right, I'm going to leave this to dry, and then what I'll do is I'll bring the finished bit back to you, watch it in just, well, as soon as it's dry. So here's our finished piece, guys, and obviously the process we've gone through is we put watered down PVA down, we've covered it with flock, we've then shaken off the excess once that's dried, and you know, we've sealed it with watered down PVA, and the result is really good. I mean, very little is coming off, and this isn't completely dry yet. Okay, this is going to take some hammer, and as you can see, it's quite a nice effect. You can see little hints of the base coat coming through. Yeah, that's why it's brown, and you know, it works well. If you want a green look to it, just base coat it in green. Don't do it over white polystyrene. Okay, and that's basic flocking, and obviously there's more stuff we can do to it, to be perfectly honest, and I'm going to cover that soon. Yeah, but right now, basic flocking. Hope you found it useful, guys.